Let's go over some Spurs news and notes and then ask, so now what now that the draft lottery is over?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's Fight San Antonio. Glad to have you all back. Hope everybody's having a great work week. And we always thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. The list goes on and on. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get themselves $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to go over some quick Spurs news and notes, stuff you may have missed. Then bring in our guest, Jack Thompson, formerly with San Antonio Spurs. We're going to go into, so now what? Spurs have number 4 and number 8 picks as of now. What is it looking like? What should the Spurs do? Does it make sense to move up, move down? What can they do with those picks? So we're going to be discussing that in just a few minutes. But some quick Spurs news and notes. Hey, mark your calendars, everybody. More Wemby accolades could be on their way. Could be. So next week, the NBA is going to be continuing to announce award winners. You know, Rookie of the Year, Executive of the Year, MVP, all that stuff. Well, tune into next week because, again, Victor's name could be heard more than once. So the all-rookie team will be announced this Monday at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. Victor has to be on that, right? No doubt about that. He's going to be on it. Then it gets interesting. Then the next day, May 21, at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern, the all-defensive team will be announced. You got to figure that Victor's got to be on team 1, right? I mean, first team, he missed out on winning the Defensive Player of the Year. Voting was a little wider than I thought it'd be, but he's got to get on that team. I mean, if he falls to third, not going to work, but he better be on that first team. That's all I got to say. And then the All-NBA team will be announced on Wednesday, May 22nd. Maybe Victor makes it one of the 3 teams. We'll find out. So, again, mark your calendars for that. In other Spurs news, Keldon Johnson and his sneaker company, Quaidon, I believe that's how you pronounce it, have released a new sneaker featuring KJ. It is called their Fengchi Rise 1.5 Energy Colorway. And it is part of the Keldon sneaker collection with that company. Kind of mixed reviews when I saw it. It looks like a Nike pretty much, but it is a kind of an off-white eggshell look. There's actually a wood grain kind of colorway at the back of the heel. Now the colorway is all egg white, and then inside the shoe, when you put your feet in, it's a pink. And then his name, initials, are on the tongue, and then they have Chinese characters to represent K and J. It's both a lace-up and a Velcro strap. And on like where the toe box is, there's like a little flap, and it has KJ's initials on it, and then the logo of the company. Again, mixed reviews. There's like a little touch of green on it. The idea here is to touch into the Chinese culture. The Spurs, they get the Fiesta colors. To tap into the Spurs and the city's festive colors. It's the same concept here. So they're out right now. You can get them. The price point is a little $159, so about $160 for a pair. But you want to go check out what they look like, go to kensfi.com/Spurs right now. In other Spurs news, according to the Athletic and /Run It Back FDTV, everybody's impressed with Wemby. Shocker, but more so in the offseason. Running backs, co-host, I believe, Shams Charania reported that Wemby is now doing 2-a-day workouts in the offseason. Everybody's impressed with his work ethic. And, I did not expect that considering that Team France and the Olympics is right around the corner. You'd think he'd soak up every minute to heal up and, be ready for the Olympics and then, training camp. But according to Run It Back TV, Wemby is in the lab. Yeah, he's working out, getting those 2-a-days in. Also note, again, according to Sharania, the Spurs are going to take a very prudent approach to looking for a point guard. What that means, I don't know, but you know how the Spurs work. Very slow, monotonous. look into all the options. There's the draft, there's free agency, there's your own backyard, like Trey Jones. What if just sticking with him could work? But again, that's the latest right there in your Spurs news and notes. All right, when we get back, we're going to bring in our guest, Jack Thompson, formerly with San Antonio Sports Star. So now what? Spurs have picks number 4, number 8. What are they going to do with that? We're going to talk about that. Coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. But first, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Look, you got to get the FanDuel app right now. Playoffs are they're underway right now in the NBA and the NHL. It's a winner take all time in those leagues. And FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. So wherever you got to go get that FanDuel app, go get it. Whether it be on the Google Play or your App Store, just go get it right now. Because right now, new customers get themselves $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. You heard that right. $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So, yeah, you can bet on spreads, money lines, player props, so much more on the FanDuel app. It's exciting, very easy to use, user-friendly, kind of intuitive, easy to make your picks, submit them, and you're off and running. So you want to go to FanDuel.com right now. Again, FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's where you want to go. Again, let me repeat that for you guys. FanDuel.com/LockedOn and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from the Cybertron Spurs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And look who is back, everybody, to join us here on Locked On Spurs. Mr. Jack Thompson, formerly of San Antonio Sports Star. Follow him on X, Jack_Thompson33. Do it right now. Now, why is he back? Because he's our go-to guy for all things NBA draft lottery, prospects, and so much. And with the draft lottery just finishing this past weekend, Spurs have first-round picks.
Yep.
Plural. S. 2 of them in the first round, number 4 and number 8. Jack, welcome back to Locked On Spurs, buddy.
What's up, man? What's up? Exciting times. 2 lottery picks.
All right. Is it though? Your buddy, your former colleague at the Star yesterday in Locked On Spurs was like this. Is it really a big win? 4 and 8 in a weak draft. What are your thoughts?
Hey, I mean, there's diamonds in the rough everywhere, man. This is what the process is really about. It's real easy to go out and pick Victor number 1.
Yeah.
Let's see how good your front office really is when there's no clear-cut number 1 to take, or even clear-cut order that it looks like. So I think it's exciting. I think you could, if you draft 4 and 8, you could easily pull players out of there that may not be stars, but can be key cogs in the greater machine for what's to come.
What were you thinking when you realized the Spurs had vaulted into the top 5? I mean, I was like, no, they're not going to do it again. I said, no way.
I was pretty shook, honestly. I was pretty shook. I saw us at 8. I ran outside. I was over at my parents, and we were outside with the dogs. And I ran back outside, and I was like, "We made it to 4." And so we all just sprinted back inside to see what would happen.
I was watching it, and then I was expecting Spurs' name to be called around 7 or 8. And then when that didn't happen, my first thought was like, "There's no way." Back to back, there's just impossible. There's no way. So then they said they had the Wizards and the Hawks and the Spurs. I forgot the other team, and they will be back. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was hoping to see Rockets fans in shambles again like last year.
I wish they would have gotten 4. That would have been so great.
That would have been hilarious.
Dude, what about the Pistons, man? The Pistons can't get past number 5.
They can't get past number 5. They can't. And if any team that needs it, it's them. It's them that needs the biggest help in the entire NBA. But, the lottery was a good day. This was, I guess, outside of winning it all, this was probably the best opportunity, the best scenario to play out 2 first-round picks for the Spurs.
Yeah, outside of winning it all, definitely getting 2 lottery picks is endless possibilities for what we could do draft-wise, trade-wise. There's a whole lot that the Spurs have the opportunity to go and do. So I'm excited.
All right. So now begs the question, now what? We know where the Spurs will be drafting as of now for number 8. Obviously that can change. We're going to talk about some of those scenarios / changes that could happen. I brought this up yesterday on Locked On Spurs. I want to ask you, I proposed to Mr. Pledger that the Spurs try to package 4 and 8, or maybe some sort of combination of players and picks to move up. Why? Because most mock drafts have what I assume is their guy, Zachary Richardson, because they've been following him throughout his time overseas, and he might be gone before the Spurs name gets called. What do you think of just the idea of just moving up? Is this something the Spurs should do? Because I don't see them, if they keep their picks, drafting 2 young kids and keeping them on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for moving up. If Ricochet is the Spurs guy and, they're thinking he's going to be gone before the Spurs pick, then yeah, I'm all for going up. He's not number one on my personal big board for us, but if the Spurs are about Ricochet and, the team above us will take 8 and 4, then yeah, all for it. I'm totally not opposed to that. 8 is just icing on the cake.
It is.
I mean, I will definitely move that pick. So yeah, I'm all for moving up if we're trying to get someone specific.
Yeah. You've been following, the Spurs. You've been noticing that they have been going to most of his games.
Yeah.
Heading up to the lottery, they seem to really be honing in on him. Now, it could be smoke and mirrors. It could be just trying to throw off the scouts. But if that's their guy, they're making it very known. Also, you're looking at, we'll get into the Jack Thompson's mock draft in a bit, or his big board in a bit. But most mock drafts have the Spurs like all over the place.
Yeah.
I see Rob Dillingham at one point. I see Reed Shepherd at one point. I see the big guy. I can't pronounce his last name. It's Knetch.
Dalton Connect.
Yeah, Dalton Connect. There, even if Klingon falls out of number 1, they have him going to the Spurs. One common threads is guards or bigs. That seems to be what mock drafts have the Spurs pegged at right now. Is that really the big need right now for the Spurs, guards and bigs?
I mean, the most glaring need is definitely a point guard, but there's no rookie in this class that's gonna, come in and overtly fill that hole. So I would not say that we're drafting for need in this draft. It's everything is long term in this draft. There's no one's going to come in and immediately pole vault the Spurs into like playoff contention or anything like that. So while, a big and a point guard are probably our biggest glaring needs on the roster, it's not what I would be drafting for.
No, not at all. Jack, what are the pros or cons right now of the Spurs sitting in 4 and 8 as of now? Now they could trade up, trade down, just trade them out, and you bring in Stafford. We don't know what they're going to do. But 4 and 8 in a weak draft, there's pros and cons. There's pros as well. There is
you get shots in the barrel.
Yeah, you could take a shot on somebody, and you can always lean on. It wasn't a big draft. It wasn't a talent-rich draft. Or, the cons is they waste a 4 and number 8 pick in an NBA draft. The pros are obviously they get younger. I guess that's good, for long-term projection. But cons are the Spurs could have some projects on their hands.
Pros and cons are both that they're younger.
You're younger. Yeah, exactly. Pros are younger, cons are younger. What do you see pros and cons with the Spurs at 4 and 8?
I mean, it's hard to say that there's really any glaring cons for me. Pros is, there's endless possibilities with what we could do with either of these picks. Cons, I mean, in the worst place scenario, we're back right where we were with the greatest prospect in the world.
Right.
So I don't really see a lot of cons. Like, it's not our fault that the draft is weak.
Yeah.
It's not our fault that, we landed 2 picks. Like, I see those all that is a pro. So, I mean, con-wise, I really only see like we draft 2 busts. That would be the only con because it's a weak draft. Yeah. But I don't really see there being major cons. We get 2 shots in the barrel. We get 2 top 10 picks in a draft that no one knows who the number 1 player is. If we could draft the best player at number 8, no one knows who's going to come out on top. I mean, you look at this past draft outside of, Brandon Miller and Wemby, the best player drafted was Jaime Jaquez. Yeah. No one thought that he was going to be that guy. So you can find a guy, 8 and beyond that can really influence your team. And I think there are guys out there. So I don't really see a lot of glaring cons besides, we're just going to get even younger, and it could push the timeline even further back if we don't add, solidified NBA guys to this super young roster. That's really the only con that I see would be the addition of 2 young guys.
Yeah, for me, some of the pros, as I mentioned, we joked about it, them getting younger. I get that. As much as the Spurs don't need to get younger because they're already young as is, but that is still a pro. You bring in young blood, you bring in maybe a guy who's just energetic. I'm hoping like that these prospects are hearing all the naysayers about their draft class, and I hope they are. Come out. Yeah, I want to come out and prove otherwise. So there's that. There's the addition of playing with Wemby. Hopefully that'll get them hype, and pop, and whatnot. But, some of the cons that I see is, again, going back to the young thing, yes, drafting young where they may have to spend some time in the G League. Maybe a glut, you got Trey Jones there, you got Blake Wesley there, and then you're going to have your rookie guy. I don't think they're going to, unless they show out in training camp in the preseason, vault over a guy like Trey Jones. And then, cons, the other thing too, let's just say they draft a big. Well, then the Spurs have a serious glut of bigs. There's obviously Wemby, he ain't going anywhere. But then there's Zach, Bassey. I guess you put Barlow in there in the mix. And then there's Mamu. So then there's that. So I think it's a good problem to have if you're the Spurs. But, I really want to see these top 10 picks make an impact immediately. And I don't think they're going to have a major impact on the Spurs. I think ultimately, let's just say they keep 4 and 8, Jack. They're going to get themselves, how about this, solid contributors.
Yeah, absolutely. And, solid contributors in the beginning, but I think there's some potential for some of these guys that can pole vault themselves outside of that, solid contributor role into the next tier of NBA player that is, not your number one, maybe not your number 2, but they're, a vital piece to the team moving forward that is ultimately aiming for that championship. So I think the addition of some more young youth, some young blood, energetic guys it's going to be really good for this roster.
All right. So we're asking now what? Let's go ahead and put Jack Thompson on the hot seat now. So now what, Jack? We know they got 4. They know they got 8. Are you the GM for the Spurs on draft night, or right now, up until draft night? Are you moving up? Are you moving down? Are you trading out?
I'm probably not doing anything up until, draft night. I would trade out if, I got an amazing offer, a guy that, an all-star caliber guy that can come in and immediately takes us to a different level. That's the only way I'm trading out immediately. But I'm waiting till draft day, see who falls number 1. If it's not Ricochet, maybe you flirt with number 2 a little bit, see what they like for a 4 and 8. If not, I mean, there's other guys that you can get outside. And Ricochet he's not my number 1 for the Spurs. So I think you hold steady. This is a weak draft, so 1 through 4 is basically the same pick. Depending on, unless you're drafting for a specific position like big or point guard, you might trade up to get Sar or Topic. Yeah. But outside of that, I mean, I'm staying pretty solid unless offers come flying my way. Then I'll hear them out.
Yeah, if I'm the Spurs GM, I'm trying to move up. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get up into maybe just 1, even if just get into the top 3. I'm all about that. Just get in there. And try to use that because, the Spurs have a glut of picks. They have a glut of guards. I think any of the needs can be taken care of in free agency, shooting. As we mentioned, Luke Kennard, he's a free agent. There's an option there. So if I'm the GM, I'm getting aggressive. I'm trying to move up in the draft. And then, yes, I do agree with you. I'll move out if there's an offer that they can't refuse. He is Jack Thompson formerly with San Antonio Sports Star. Follow him on X at Jack_Thompson33. When we get back, we're going to see who is on Jack's big board for the Spurs at 4 and 8. What names does he have penciled in? That's next right here on Locked On Spurs. Hey, but first I want to talk to you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest, most exciting way to get into the action while you watch all your favorite sports and players. You must pick more than or less than 2 or more player stat projections. You can start watching those winnings roll in. Look, you can now turn pretty much win 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Basically, you turn $10 into $1,000 with basketball, hockey, and so much more. Entries today on PrizePicks, America's #1 sports app. They got quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, enormous selection of player and stat types. What makes PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app? They even offer Apple Pay with easy deposit into your account this basketball season. Weekly promotions, special offers for the biggest moments in sports. They got it all over at PrizePicks. You want to download PrizePicks right now. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA. Get yourself a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download it today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA. First deposit match up to $100. You want to get your PrizePicks app right now. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And we're back with Jack Thompson, formerly with San Antonio Spurs star. Follow him on X at Jack_Thompson33. By the way, everybody, let him know that you think his new haircut looks good. Looks slick.
It's definitely way different.
Yeah. Is that what you wanted? Like you went in there and just said, shave it all off.
Shave it all off. That's what I told him. My barber was like, you got to be kidding me, dude.
Because you have luscious locks.
I had long hair. Yeah,
you did,
and I have a lot of hair. So it took a while.
With your family all freaked out, like, what?
Yeah.
They get used to it. I almost want to do that. I've been wanting to just shave it all off, and start all over again. Mm-hmm. But then I get all nervous, like, what if it doesn't grow back? I get freaked out and stuff like that, even though I know it will. But anyway, we are talking all things NBA draft lottery, Spurs, number 4 and number 8. And now we're going to get into Jack's big board. Jack, look, we're not going to run down 1 through 10, but we'll do 1, and then we'll do 4 and 8 for the Spurs. Okay, in your mind, Jack, who goes #1 overall in this draft? Who's going to Atlanta?
I really think it's going to be Sarr. I mean, the Hawks, they kind of have a plethora of every position, and they just can't figure it out. I mean, they've got DeJounte and Trey. Wing-wise, they've got Bogdanovich, Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, Sadiq Bey. Bigs, they've got Clint Capella, Onyeka Kongwu. But I really think Sarr, Clint Capella has seen better days. While he's probably still better than Sarr is at this very moment, I think they go Sarr, add some more length and athleticism to their roster, and run it with what they've got. I don't know what their long-term plans are for Trey and DeJounte anymore, if those are still, as readily available as they were prior to them getting the #1 pick. But I just got a feeling that they're going to go Sarr with that #1 pick.
Yeah, I get the same feeling too. But my thing is, what are the ripple effects with Young and DeJounte Murray trade rumors? Does that maybe entice them to cool their heels on getting rid of them, knowing they have a big, they can compare with 2 good perimeter players, all-star players? Yeah. Or does it move them to push one of those guys out? Meaning, look, I don't think Sarr's going to demand the ball on the offensive end. He's not that guy, but he definitely will up their numbers. He definitely creates some spacing for them. He'll definitely be a human eraser behind them. They get burned. So, yeah, it's interesting how that ripple effect is going to happen on that. Well, maybe we'll talk about that in a future episode of Locked On Spurs. All right. So who is at number 4 and number 8 on Jack's big board?
Well, for me, even if I was #1, for the Spurs, it's Matas Buzelis. He's been the apple of my eye of this draft for the whole time. That has not changed one bit. I think he's the perfect forward for the NBA right now. He's a unique blend of size and length and basketball IQ combined with guard skills. He's got elite handles, good basketball IQ in the pick and roll, and he's an elite shooter in the mid-range as well as from 3. So I think that's the ideal pick for the Spurs. At 1 or 4 would be Matas Buzelis. He's #1 on my board for us.
All right. For me, I know it's get best available, but if I have a shooter like Reed on that board, I'm taking him either at 4 or 8. I don't know if 4 is too high, but
4 is too high for me
yeah,
for Reed.
I think
Did you
at 8,
watched the lottery, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
shorter than that woman who is interviewing him and Rob. He was shorter than her.
Wow. I didn't even
he,
catch that.
Yeah, he was shorter than the woman who was interviewing him. So I think he's a great basketball player, elite basketball IQ and shooting ability. I just get very worried about him getting swallowed up at the guard position by a bigger guard.
Yeah.
It's just a fear of mine. And, Kentucky has an amazing track record with guards, and he's produced just like the rest of them in college. But I don't know, just
undersized. Yeah.
This guard class for Kentucky just does not do it for me, him or Rob. And I think 4 is too high for them. I maybe take a flyer at either of them at 8, but still at 8, I've got players ahead of them that I would draft.
Yeah, so I definitely would get a Reed at 8. At number 4, I think I might go Topic if he's available. I might go that route.
Topic or Rishache they're equal number 2 for me on my big board, that I would be perfectly happy with us taking either of them at number 4. So yeah, I would love that pick as well.
Yeah. What do you think the Spurs are going to do on draft night? You think they'll be drafting their 4 and 8, or you think they'd be moving it?
I mean, I definitely see us drafting 4. Now, 8, I could certainly see us packaging to maybe go get a player during the draft, or I don't know, move back and get a player 2. I could certainly see us moving 8, but I really think we're going to draft 4.
Yeah, me too. I think they keep number 4, maybe try to move up. I don't know about moving significantly down, but 4 and 8, yeah, I can see them splitting them. Hey, look, we saw in the seasons past, draft pass, Spurs got 2 first-round picks. There's no way they're going to keep both of them. It turned out to be Wesley and Branham. So,
yeah,
you never know what these Spurs do, man. They're as much as what's the old rule of thumb? If you don't hear anything about the Spurs, that's a good sign. There's going to be something. But if you hear a bunch of rumors about the Spurs, they're not going to do anything.
Yep.
So keep an eye on that. Well, be mindful of that, everybody. If you hear a lot of rumbling about the Spurs in the draft and moving up, down, whatever, probably not going to happen. If they're quiet, like right now, start keeping your head on the swivel. Jack, any final thoughts about the Spurs on lottery night?
Well, I mean, if we keep 8, I think there are some good players that we can go and get outside of, the Reed and Dillingham. They're still not my top picks at that position. I would take them, but a Dalton Connect would be a fantastic addition to the Spurs. He's the best shooter in the draft. He comes in, I think he's the Jaime Jaquez of this class. He's a 4-year, 5-year guy in the NBA. He put up incredible numbers last year for Tennessee. He shoots the ball, at an NBA level already. Cody Williams, younger brother of, the budding superstar Jalen Williams on the Thunder. I like him a lot. Another very intriguing combination of size, length, and athleticism that would be fun for the Spurs. There's other guys like Ron Holland, Jacoby Walter, Isaiah Collier, another guard that no one's talking about, that in the beginning of this year before he got hurt, he was the best guard in the class. So I think that's a very intriguing player, Isaiah Collier, the guard from USC. So I think even if we keep 8, or even if we trade 8 and move back, there are still players that, Jacoby Walter and Isaiah Collier were top 7, top 5 picks all throughout the year. And then suddenly they fell off at the end when everyone got enamored with the Kentucky guards and, the overseas products. But you look at the early mock drafts, those are 2 of the highest guys taken. So there are still guys that have lost some draft stock, lost that, the sparkle, that I think that can still be fantastic NBA players. So there's a lot of opportunity for the Spurs to get better, no matter how they play it. It's just drafting at the right player at the right time.
And that's why we go to Jack Thompson. He knows everything about college prospects, draft lottery, what the Spurs should do. That's why you got to follow him on X at Jack_Thompson33. Make sure you do that right now. Jack, as always, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk all things Spurs draft lottery. We're going to bring you back again as the Draft night is just around the corner. A few more weeks, but it's right here. It's right here. We'll see what the Spurs do, and we'll definitely bring Jack back. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. Subscribe on the YouTube page as well. And we'll be back tomorrow. More Silver and Black talk as the offseason rages on. It's just beginning, everybody. Can you believe it? But at least we have a draft lottery and a draft now to talk about. But for Jack Thompson, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.